Yo, it's good. It's been a minute. Um, Basically, like, I've been watching or coming across a whole load of, admittedly, like, old reviews of this game. And, it seems to me like pretty much everything I've come across for the most part, as far as reviews are concerned, is relatively negative. Like, for various reasons. So I felt like I enjoy this game. I think this game is absolutely dope. Like, um, uh, yeah. So I figured like I felt obliged to make a few videos myself. Give kind of my own sort of take on the game, review and stuff. So, um, you know, so for those who don't know about this game, you know, it's described as a Souls-like, so uh, basically meaning that this game follows a similar format to Dark Souls, which is like the original, the originator, like the first iteration or what have you, like of this kind of game. Um, so anyone who's played Dark Souls will understand what I'm talking about. The main difference in this game is that it's focused primarily on gun combat, like as opposed to melee and medieval kind of weaponry. Everything is pretty futuristic, sci-fi, oriented. So um, I'ma just quickly, take you through just the intro, like just give you an idea of what you have to do. So here's your character. You can change the name. So we'll just call this person, I don't know, forget Tom for the sake of it. Like, uh, so you got male, you got female. Now, when I initially like checked this, like I thought to myself that like the female character like doesn't really look, that much different to the male character. If I'm playing the game as a female character, I can see that it is different. It's just an incredibly like beefed out like female, like it's like bodybuilder sleeves, man, and it makes sense given the kind of in context, so that's something to acknowledge. Like, we have a tendency to, you know what I mean? Like, women look a particular way, dudes look a particular way, It's like, you know. So, but anyway, this is Tom. So you have 7 different disciplines, which are essentially like classes. They dictate your starting stats. So there's a description under each. You got trackers, swift hunters, daggers. Now that's something to point out. You have a primary weapon, you get primary weapon, secondary weapon, and a melee weapon. As I said, it's primarily focused on gun combat, but the melee acts as like a backup. Right, so what we got here? Vandals, cleavers, and what are you using? Defender rifles. Alright, cool. We'll go with that. Like, we'll go with the Vandal. Okay, so finesse, perception, strength, agility, toughness, endurance, expertise, insight. All of that will, be made clear later. Cool, that's Tom. Let's see what hairstyle Tom shall have. That's a bit nuts, right? I will leave it that. Facial details. Tom doesn't need any facial details. this? Tattoos for the face or head, right? Let's see. That works. Alright. So essentially, I haven't completed the game yet. I'm about 17 hours in, but essentially you play as like I guess a hero of old who was locked up, you know, and released in order to save the cosmos from the undead.
This is the end of times.
Can you imagine being locked up like that? It's mental. Like, when I first watched this, I thought, my word, like, is that how they had men on lockdown? Like, it's deep. Right. Now, just to, okay. So it's where you starting location. There are like 9 planets to check out. I am on planet what 3, I think, or something like that. Right, just a quick run through a number of criticisms surrounding this. So I like a recent video that I watched. I don't remember the name of the person who made the video. I guess it's not that important, to be honest. They were complaining about stuff like you know, ammo running out and this, that, and the other. Now you have an inventory, right? And so I was watching this video, and the whole time, I mean, I'm playing it quite late in, but even I knew to check an inventory, right? Like, so of course, given that you're dealing with ammo, you collect consumables like ammo packs, you get resistance patches, etc., right? So you can attach things to a quick slot here, right? So you can cycle through them. The 2 that you see currently, you have on the left is syringes, health. On the second is their grenades. Like, grenades are a bit difficult to kind of deal with. I mean, you have to be at a particular distance in order for them to be accurate. I'm not gonna say that like.
Quickly, go forth and find the Grand Hall.
Right. Okay. So this is where you would do most of your stuff, right? Everything pretty much for the most part, as far as altering your character, runs through obelisks. And to be honest, now at this point, I don't really feel like, you know, it's beyond like just the overall kind of feel and the way you play this game. Like, I would prefer to detach it from Dark Souls, to be honest. Like, I honestly, like, I'm not really a huge fan of Dark Souls, to be quite honest. Like, I mean, I played Dark Souls 1 and 2, but they just got boring after a time, you know? To me, anyway. I just found them quite boring. Like, you know, it's like everything's so kind of ambiguous, and like, I guess, you know, it's beyond the point of enigmatic. Like, do you know what I mean? You barely get any storyline. You just run around and maybe you come across something that leads you somewhere else. I actually had to use like mad like walkthroughs just to have some kind of understanding of what I was supposed to do in Dark Souls, whereas this, it's like, you know what you're doing throughout, pretty much. Like, people were complaining about map design. It's like, I mean, you know, be observant. Do you know what I mean? Like, observe your surroundings, like, and you will see where you need to go and stuff. Like, okay, so here are your stats. It's good. Every stat you can see exactly what it alters, like, you know, by increasing it. So you have all of these extra parameters: health, stamina, energy, stamina recovery time, reload bonus. So that's like, you know, the speed of your reload, dodge skill, um, right? Um, which is dictated by agility, efficiency of your dodge roll. Uh, Also increase the speed at which you use med packs. Like, so, you know, when you're in a pinch, bang, like, get that high enough, right? Perception, you know, uh, critical damage bonus, strength, melee weapon scaling, right? Etc., 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 right? Um, so you use bits for everything. Bits, I guess you could say they're like souls in Dark Souls. Bits govern your levels. You gain access to things with bits, etc., etc. I haven't come across a shop yet, um, so it's mainly about levels and also about your weapons, which we haven't got yet. So there's some bits. Alright, so just gonna run through this real quick. Alright, just give you an idea. Now for me, I personally think this is pretty cool. I don't have a gun, so how am I supposed to aim? Where's the gun? Shit. Where'd I find the gun? I forgot. Oh no. Man can't get through the door. Oh, oh no. Ah, there we go. Alright. See, now, I don't have an issue with, like, things like that, like, not seeing something and then, like, finding it and, like, oh, now I understand. Like, you know, that's another thing people were complaining about, feeling lost in the game, and they were saying something about the maps not being intuitive and things not being intuitive. Like, the way I see it, as I said, like, the game expects you to be more observant. So anyway, as you can see from the gun, this is the sort of thing you would get as far as stats are concerned, like damage type. So you have physical, I've seen so far, acid, which adds an afterburn effect basically. You can get fire, which again adds an afterburn effect, except it seems to be stronger than acid, I would say. Frost, that slows down, I believe, the characters. As far as actions and stuff, I'm not sure if it's an impact. It has an impact on stamina or whatever. And I've seen energy. I'm not sure what difference energy makes against things. You get firing modes, so you get single shot burst, fully automatic. Ammo cap, that's like the maximum ammo that you can carry. Normal scaling, special scaling, that's all to do with how much damage, crit bonus, armor penetration, stability damage. Now you'll know, I'll show you that in a second, but there are two bars basically on an enemy. You have a health bar and you have like a stagger or a stability bar gauge. Like, so if you wear down the stability gauge, they stagger and they take a while to recover, which leaves them open to attack. So like a strategy like to use when playing this game is to stagger a character as quickly as possible in order to gain an advantage over them, because this game is brutal. It doesn't let up. It's like, it seems easy, like at first it seems straightforward, but it really isn't. Like, and that's what I really like about this game. um I mean, it's like Dark Souls to me was quite easy, and it was like when you died, it was stupid. But you know, but with this, it's like, because the the combat is primarily a gunfight. It's like a constant gunfight. So it's like your dodges are essential. Like your ability to kind of lock onto a target like as soon as possible are essential. And that was something else. I saw people complaining about the the lock-on capabilities. Now, don't use it if you can't use it, and I mean, real talk. If anyone who plays a shooter should be able to kind of like, you know, you know, like set up a reticle. Like, do you know what I mean? Um, yeah. So now you've got range. Now, range dictates obviously like how the maximum distance you can be away from a target in order to you know, fight to hit with and still hit. So pistols obviously it's 24 meters. Rifles generally tend to have more. Sniper rifles have more. Like someone was complaining about like not being able to hit something at an equivalent of like 20 meters, but like sniper rifles have in going near like towards 100 meters of range. So 20 meters, that's a pistol. Like, what are you talking about? Recoil, you know, reload time. All weapons have different reload times. So obviously a pistol has a pretty quick reload time. Shotguns have like quick reload time as far as shells, but you have to acknowledge the fact that it's that long for every shell to be put in. So you have to multiply that reload time by the number of shells that you can actually load. And then you have a power attack, which is a special attack that you can use in place of your regular bullets. Show info, gives you a bit of lore around the gun, and it tells you what the power attack is. So in this case, flash freeze the target. Now obviously it's a spray, so just from taking that into account, like you would have to do that up close. Like you couldn't do that from like maximum distance and expect it to hit. It's a spray. Like, do you know what I mean? Little things like that. So like, yeah. So anyway, we'll equip this weapon. Now let's go combat. Yep. So this is your first enemy. Where are you? Right, now different places, different things. As you see, like that's the health. And that bar is going down. I've killed it in time, like, so it's alright. But right, what's in here? Bit capsule, small energy potion. Now let's do this. So you can grab this. This is your small ammo pack. I found this, right? You use these to replenish your ammo when you run out. Now you can attach that to a quick slot. I'm gonna use these real quick, but I didn't need to do that, but it's fine. Right, okay. So now, as I've got like enough bits to show you, I believe. Oh no, 1500. Wow. All right, cool. Okay. There's this guy. You can actually shoot off limbs if you hit them right, you see? But if you leave it for too long, like the limbs will actually regenerate. Now you can use that to your advantage. So if an enemy's carrying a gun or you know whatever, you can, you know, shoot it off effectively. I don't know why that person died, but they did. So. Oh, now I do. What the hell is that about? That never happened before. Okay, so we have to dodge that. Right, now, watch for it to come. There you go. I guess there's a pressure pad or something. Right. Okay. Now. Another enemy. Right. Now, staggering. If you shoot the legs, you get a bigger chance to stagger your opponent, as you can see. I mean, they're dying beforehand, like, but if you want to stagger an opponent, like, faster, like, hit him in the legs. Like, it will also give him a better stagger. Right? I don't know why, but this level layout looks different to me to the first time I played. But it could just be because I've forgotten what it was like. So, I heard something. Yep. Okay. No, this is different. The level actually looks different. It is different. Right. Now, these guys, shield, yes? Now, they're gonna have weak points. You've gotta wait and watch what they're doing. Weak points like back, there. And because this thing's covered in armor, like, you wanna hit the fleshy locations, which are obviously protected by the shield. So, you have to wait until it's open, and then try and get to that. You can lock on. I generally tend not to use the lock on, like, but you can lock on, and it does work. Right. Whoa. Alright, so that's your power shell. The fact that you can't actually block like you can in Dark Souls. I mean, you know, you can counter stuff. You can, you know, which then it just becomes this back and forth where it's like as long as you time your counter right, you can basically one-shot everything. Whereas this really requires like skill, like in my opinion. You know, like so I actually prefer this game over. Just off of that, like, do you know what I mean? I much prefer this game, to be honest, like, over Dark Souls. Like, I've been tempted on a number of occasions to maybe try playing a Dark Souls again. Like, I haven't played Dark Souls 3. Right, so you saw that anyway, but no, fuck that, you know, anyway, like, buddy, this game's cool for me. Right, so you get those things. Let's go into inventory now. So you have other things: heat patch, cold patch, energy potions. That would be for your like power attacks, special attacks. Like you saw the gauge. Serum decrees. Like the more you collect, the greater access you have to levels. Now you'll notice when you get deeper into the game, there'll be doors that you can't open. Like it's like late game content basically. Like the more you have to gather these to be able to open things, and that's just how it is. To gain access, you find items and accumulate. First ammo piece, increase grenade capacity to 3. Now what I've actually now noticed, because I don't remember what I started with, the character I started with, but it seems that this game plays out differently depending on the character that the class that you initially choose. So it's almost as though they're like locked in different places, like, because this looks nothing like it did to me in the initial game. I like that. That's something new for me. Right. Now that, because this is completely different. Like, this really is. It's completely different. It's dope. Henchman's Cleaver. Right, so now we have a primary, a secondary, and right, Savage Defender. It starts with a grenade launcher. Boom. Like, quick. Now, you have to take into account your Okay, now this is where it's important now. Melee weapons, I would say melee weapons are what you're gonna use mainly to get a stagger on opponents, like especially big ones. Like, you know, you get behind them, you get a crit hit in, like, etc. Um, Different weapons have different levels of stability damage. The higher the stability damage, the sooner you can actually kind of stagger a target. So that's also something to take into account. You can break all of these weapons down as well, like for parts to upgrade stuff. So as you'll see here, there are varying degrees. These things here at different points in time, you need extra items in order to upgrade them. It can be a bit like, I mean, they're hard to come by. Like, there's a chance to get them when you break stuff down, like, but I haven't got one yet. Like, so it's a bit of a mad one. But anyway, now for levels. Okay, so what have you got here? Dodge skill. I was kind of, before working towards like just building all of these up, I don't really want to die and lose all of this, but like, I mean, this is just like, I'm just showing you a little bit of how the game runs essentially. Alright, let's hang on to it for a minute. I don't know where I'm going with this. Now, let's go. Can't go out that way. This really is like completely different. Right. Now we get to the real shit. There you go, so staggered and he lost an arm. Run in, finish him off. Done. Right. I like that animation, man. Like, I hadn't seen that before. I literally drop pod like business. Like, that's jokes. It's like bloody StarCraft and shit. Hold tight. This game's dope. I don't know what all these reviewers are talking about, honestly. I honestly believe it's just because they didn't have the chops for this game. Like, I'm not saying like it's not perfect, but is any game ever perfect? And let's be real, like, I mean, like compared to a lot of other games, like, you know what I mean? I'd never heard of this company before. Like, I think there were a couple of people from like, you know, better known games that were involved in this. Like, it's obviously like, I would imagine they didn't have the budget that like a lot of bigger, like much bigger, well-known companies might have had. And I think they've done an excellent job, to be quite frank. Like, I honestly don't know what the hell heads are talking about. I love the setting. I love all of this, like these fucking tentacles coming out of nowhere. Like, what the hell took place? Like, is this part of is that just wiring, or is that part of the invasion? Like, I think it's great, like, personally. And the fact that there is like music always playing in the back, for me, adds to the immersion. Like, that was something that I found really lacking in Dark Souls. It was like there was basically no music for most of the time. Like, it was boring, you know. Like, it was just boring. Now, shit. Okay, get out of it. Cool. Like, literally, this game, this playthrough is completely different to what it was when I played initially. Okay, now we have another weapon. I have some way to gauge, like, what direction I would take a character as far as stat building is concerned. So it's like, right, so we're out of there. Keep it going. Alright. Ah, it's so dope that it does that. Fuck! Well, there's your first death. Like, it gets hectic, bro. It gets hectic. You know what I mean? I love it. Like, I fucking love it. Like, honestly. So as you can see, that's essentially how the game will play out. That's it. So it does kind of, on those levels, yeah, it is a Souls-like, but it's not at the same time because, you know, I feel like it doesn't do the game justice to just like, you know, compare it straight to Dark Souls. And because obviously most people that would come across this game like and give it a go would have probably played Dark Souls first, and so that's what has been imprinted in their mind. So hence the reason any game similar that comes out, they call it a Souls like, you know, like I think it just sets something up like weird. It's not good, like, because it doesn't give all these up. It doesn't give these games like this a chance to shine in their own light, you know, because it's like you're automatically comparing it to Dark Souls. It's like, so if you're a really avid like player of Dark Souls, you know, if you love Dark Souls, then you play this. It's like, no, it's not Dark Souls. It doesn't play out like Dark Souls. Me personally, I like shooters. I like the fact that like the main thing is a gun and that I can't block, so I have to dodge everything, and I think that the combat is a hell of a lot more challenging. You saw just there, I mean, it's like 3 characters, 2 with guns, 1 melee, like, and you saw what that took. Now this is the beginning of the game, like, you know what I mean? You can hack and slash all over the place, dodge out of the way, use your guard until your stamina does, you know, it's a lot more challenging in my opinion. um Last thing I'll show you is like, so here's your ranger pistol. Now I can't equip this because of the requirements, which you can see at the top right. um like, so it requires, what would that be, ah shit, 16 perception and 10, what is that symbol, I forget, let's check, finesse, right? So that would take 3 levels, and my perception is really low, so like 1, 11, 12, 13, 14, I wouldn't be able to use that gun for like 14 levels. Judging from that, like, there's no point in keeping it, right? So that's the sort of process you have to go through. So now I can scrap this gun, right, which gives you bits and basic components, etc. And I may, as it says, but I haven't received one before, and I didn't receive it there. Upgrading weapons, I have enough, so I now, using the basic components and some bits, I can upgrade this, give me extra stability damage. Cool. And what would that do? That would take that up to 17. Alright, now that's essentially this game. I'll run through that section again, like, real quick, and see if I can get through it. Well, I died. I got a bit of a ways to go. So I've shown you a bit of what you have to contend with. I haven't gotten to the boss yet, but like, I just thought I'd like you know, say a little something, you know, about the game from my own kind of perspective, like being in for about like, you know, just under 20 hours. Like when I first heard about this game coming out, like I was quite excited. Like I thought, bruh, like they actually went that way. It's gonna be, I would imagine. I thought like the idea, the concept was dope. I mean, it's like kind of give it a feel of like kind of it plays kind of like Dark Souls, but it's gun oriented. Like it's sci-fi. It's not like medieval fucking fantasy and whatever. Like, and upon playing it, I find it very challenging. It is frustrating at times, like, and it does demand a lot from you. There are moments where it's like, what the fuck is happening, you know? But like, that's what these games are about, right? They're meant to push you to the edge, like, you know. And I personally think that this game requires a hell of a lot more skill, like, you know, than Dark Souls does, simply because of the fact that it's gunplay, and like, you know, um, your melee weapons only really act as like they're a backup. Like, you know, you fling them out real quick. Like, if the enemy gets too close, maybe add to your stagger to taking away the stagger meter. Like, but they're not the primary source. Like, this is the primary source. This is your primary source, you know? Like, can't block, you have to dodge everything. You have to time your dodges perfectly, like, you know, in order to avoid getting damaged, man. Like, I think it's excellent. But yeah, I'd probably stream some stuff with like my actual character, maybe, or whatever. I might actually, yeah. Oh, we'll see how it goes. But I thought I'd just put my 2 pence in there as someone who would actually recommend this game. Like, you know, if you like, to anyone who kind of appreciate, like, kind of enjoyed the concept or whatever of like Dark Souls, but didn't actually like playing Dark Souls, like, give Immortal Unchained a go. Like, you know, maybe this one will be better suited to you. Um, Also, there's Salt and Sanctuary, which is like a 2D side scroller, but that is literally Dark Souls in 2D, like, you know. And I actually felt like that played better than Dark Souls 2, unfortunately. Not that Dark Souls is a bad game, but it's not me. I'm waiting for like Ghost of Tsushima and um, you know, the other games that are coming out in a bit. That samurai one, like, that one looks like that would be more up my street. Like Neo, it looked too arcadey. Like, you know, that new one that's on its way, like, that I'll probably give a go. I'll probably play that one. I have a feeling I'll actually enjoy that one. But anyway, I'm gonna sign out now. This was just like, you know, quick rundown stuff, like quick opinion and a quick gameplay, you know, preview or whatever, you know. Yeah. Hey, John Digger, like, you take it easy, yep. Like, don't write off games like straight off the bat, like based on preconceived ideas of what it should be like, you know. Like, if you're intrigued, go with your intrigue and give it a go for yourself. Like, don't let these peeps like dictate what you do with your life, man. Like, mad times that we're living in. Like, don't be a sheep. Like, hold tight.